once a Muslim woman starts to see menstruation, that means they has reached the age of maturity, or mukallaf, or legally competent, or somebody who's capable of being pregnant. And then in the absence of these physical, natural, or physical characteristics or physical signs, then Islam will fall back on age. And when it comes to age, the ulama of Islam differs from whether it is 15 years, or 16, 17, or 18. But the majority of Malikis seems to have settled on 18 years. Yeah. Some of them are, so there's a very strong opinion which is based on 17. So in other words, in the absence of these physical characteristics or features, then we will fall back on age. So then this is a very important legal rule of Sharia. And then another important jurisprudential rule of fasting, or Sharia rule of fasting, is once the moon is sighted, everybody should, or once time has come for the citation of the moon, the Islamic Ummah, the community, the society, even the individual must make it point of duty that they come out and look for the moon. And once the moon is sighted, fasting now becomes due for the next day. And in that case, everybody must, what do you call, must make intention or niyyah to fast, which is a very important Sharia or jurisprudential aspect of fasting, that you have the intention to fast the whole month. One intention is enough for the whole month, provided that there is no interruption from the beginning of the fast to the end.
If there is an interruption,
yes, then you have to renew the intention. Yes, so on the eve of I was...
Especially with women.
Exactly. And I was made to understand that Thursday will be the 29th of Sha'ban. I'm not sure whether this is on the calendar of the Islamic Maghrib, or the calendar of the Hijaz or the Saudi Arabian people.
Next week.
Yes, yes, next week Thursday will be 29. So in 29, next week Thursday will be 29. That will be the eve of Ramadan. So therefore, once announcement comes from the Islamic Council that the moon has been sighted, and the next day, Friday, is Ramadan, then it becomes mandatory for the Muslims on the eve, on that night, to make the intention and continue fasting. So like I said, one intention will be enough, but if there's any interruption like menstruation for women, or a person happens to travel and break the fast, or become sick and break the fast, before he or she resumes the fasting,
you have to renew the
exactly. And then there are also important, and then most importantly, of all the jurisprudential rules of Sharia, the most important one is the definition of fasting. What does fasting mean? Fasting legally means to keep away from food, drink, and sexual intercourse from dawn to dusk. Yes, to sunset. That is the Sharia definition of fasting. And in addition to the Sharia definition of fasting, the moral rules of Islam and the spiritual rules of Islam also would add, in addition to avoiding food, drink, and sexual intercourse, also the person must avoid anything which is useless. Doing anything or saying anything which will not bring reward. It's morally, spiritually prohibited in Islam, in Ramadan. Ramadan is a month of benefit. Ramadan is a month during which everything is multiplied. Every good deed is multiplied. And it's a month during which Muslims therefore are urged to maximize their gain. So whatever word you utter from your mouth, whatever action you do, whatever you say, whatever you take out and give,
something useful,
good and useful, which can earn you reward. So in other words, if anybody engages his time or spending the whole day playing, using vulgar language, moving here and there, morally speaking, he's losing a lot, or she is losing a lot. Although legally speaking, the fasting can still be intact. You understand? So in other words, it is very important therefore for us to observe both the legal and the moral aspects of the teachings of Islam when it comes to fasting. So this being the case now, eating during the day would spoil the fasting. Drinking even a drop of water, insofar as the food or the drop of water once into the stomach or goes into the stomach, it will break the fast. You understand? And of course, sexual intercourse also will spoil the fast. But there are exceptions to this. There are people, Muslims, able Muslims, legal competent Muslims, who are exempted from fasting. Like if one is traveling, for instance, a distance for which reduction of prayer is permitted. That is, let's say, beginning from with 48 kilometers more, whether you are traveling by road, by land, or by air. So the person traveling is allowed to break the fast, because traveling is always it's a very tiring venture, a very tiring process. So, but then unlike shortening prayers, when it comes to shortening the prayers, what Islam prefers is that when you travel, Islam prefers that you shorten the prayer. But when it comes to fasting, even though the individual is permitted, or the traveling person is permitted not to fast, but what Islam prefers is the person to keep fasting. That's the preference. So although fasting will not, breaking the fast will not incur any liability. You understand? So that is a very important thing to keep in mind. Nursing women or pregnant women, women who are nursing or are pregnant, these are two different categories of women. Those that are nursing, that means that they are feeding their babies. And you know, breastfeeding particularly consumes a lot of energy. It takes out a lot of energy from the woman, and it needs the woman to eat well, so that she can take care of the child very well. So if fasting will cause any harm to the health of the child, and the nutritional, how to call it, the nutritional benefit of the child, then here Islam will allow the nursing woman not to fast in the month of Ramadan. But at the end of Ramadan, the person must compensate the whole days. If she was not able to fast the whole month, she will have to fast the whole, pay a whole month, or a number of days that were missed. And the same thing also applies with a pregnant woman, a woman who is pregnant. Although when it comes to pregnancy, it will vary from one area to another area. Sorry, it varies from one woman to another woman. There are women who can fast throughout Ramadan, even though they are pregnant, up to the last minute.
Yeah, some do it.
Up to the last minute. There are women in fact who deliver in the month of Ramadan while they were fasting.
Exactly.
But there are others who cannot fast
people are just different.
as early as the 3 months of the pregnancy. So, but whatever the case, what is important for us here is to understand that if act of fasting will cause any problem, any harm to the fetus, to the baby, to the fetus, then here fasting will not be allowed. And there are people also who may fall sick in the month of Ramadan. Whatever the type of sickness is, if a qualified and honest physician advise that one should not fast, because fasting will create problems, physical health problems for him or for her from fasting, because protection of life is a fundamental principle of Sharia. So these are some of the jurisprudential rules concerning fasting. Before I move on to the moral aspect, let me just stop here and see.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Like you said, fasting is mandatory on all adult Muslims who are healthy, sane.
Yes.
Yeah, but then you also realize that some people, it's so inherent in them, just because they don't want to fast, they try to quote this verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La yukallifullahu nafsin illa wusaha. It does not impose anything on us that we cannot do. Some of the jolas and the fullers, just because they find it so difficult to fast, I mean, they are like, no, they just cannot do it when it is mandatory. How do you just respond to this kind of people who grossly oversimplify the issue of not fasting? Just, I cannot do it, that's what Allah says. And it is mandatory, you have to, based on the conditions that you've just mentioned.
Exactly. You know, sometimes some of us mistakenly give a wrong interpretation to this verse. Sometimes, in fact, it may be deliberate, but whether it is intentional or mistakenly, you know, we can fool each other as human beings, as creatures of God. But Allah cannot. No, there is no way you can fool God. Because Allah is nearer to you than your heart. So Allah is everywhere. So whatever you do, there are angels of God who accompany you, and they record whatever you do. They will not miss a single moment, a second. You understand? So that is why it is very important for the individual to be honest within himself or herself. You make sure when you say you are sick, make sure you are sick. You say you are traveling, make sure you are traveling. But if you want to dribble society, believing you are also eventually dribbling God, you're fooling yourself. And nobody can cheat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. Technically, doesn't mean that because I cannot do it, because I don't want to do it, Oh, I don't like to do it. I'm not ready to do it, so I'm therefore permitted not to do it. No. What it means is this, that whatever Allah imposed on us, we can do it.
We can do
Allah
it,
is the one who creates us. Allah is the one who knows our capacities and capabilities. He knows whatever is going to be excuses for any one of us. So whatever Allah says that we must do, we must do. If Allah knew that we would not be able to fast a whole month or a whole day,